Today we are going to learn about lobsters. Now, my friend Eric, lifelong friend of mine going all the way back before high school, he's going to take us out on a lobster boat. We are on the seacoast of New Hampshire today. We're going to pull up his lobster traps and have a great time. So this is my friend Eric, by the way. He also happens to be a male model. I'm halfway kidding.
Hop aboard, matey.
So we are in Rye Harbor on the seacoast of New Hampshire. This area I feel like is extremely underrated, especially in the summertime. It's one of the most beautiful places in all of the United States in the summertime. If you've never been here, you gotta come.
I love it here. I think Eddie's right, it's underrated. Might be your guys for the birds, but when it comes to North Atlantic lobsters, I'm your man. So here we have a male and a female lobster. There are a couple of different ways you can tell them apart. The very first thing that I look for when I'm trying to distinguish between a male and a female is the size of the claws, the relative size of the claws. So a male is going to have claws larger in proportion to its body size. Females are going to be a little bit smaller. In this case, it's not a great indicator because these guys' claws are pretty similar. Next thing you can look at is the width of the tail. So on a female, the tail is going to be extra wide. You can see it's pretty wide there. On a male, it's going to be a little bit skinnier. And then the way we confirm is we flip it over and we look at these things. They're called swimmerets, these little appendages. And the very first pair of swimmerets on a male lobster is going to be capped with a little bit of calcium carbonate. And so that's what calcium carbonate is, basically what shells are made of. So you can see a little tiny calcium carbonate tip there. Then with females are going to be feathery, and so you can see this female has eggs. We call this being berried. It's like a cluster of berries. The very first pair of swimmerets here is going to be feathery. So when we catch a lobster with eggs, on its underside, a female with eggs, the colloquial phrase is being berried. It's berried. It's like a cluster of berries underneath. So this is a male, and so we can keep this one provided it's above the minimum size. And so we have a standardized tool here. This is 3 1/4 inches, and we have to measure the very first bottom segment. This is called the carapace, also known as the crown. And so what you do is you take the tool, you put it in its eye socket, it doesn't hurt the lobster, and you measure from the eye socket to the end of the carapace, and if it's over 3 1/4 inches, which it is in this case, then you get to keep the lobster. Nice male.
Nice male, nice big male there.
Nice skinny tail, big claws, we confirm. Calcium carbonate tip on the swimmerette.
So that's a keeper.
Keeper, baby. It's no coincidence that I'm wearing a robe. PloverRobes.com, baby.
It's the kind of robe that you can wear when you're at the beach, when you're at the pool,
Going to the hot tub?
or sort of a more low-key nature adventure if you're just going on a short walk through your backyard doing some birding.
Working from home? Moisture wicking, temperature regulating, all-purpose adventure robes. Not a bathrobe.
And if you guys are interested in buying some, I'm going to post a link right below the video. Got a couple keepers there.
Big female. See how wide the tail is? Huge wide tail. And then we got eggs underneath. So I'm going to talk to you about the parts and compartments in a lobster trap. So the lobsters get funneled in through these openings here, and they're attracted to the bait bag. We've got cured cowhide and salted alewives in our bait bag. So they come into here, and then this funnel is also referred to as the head. So they go into the kitchen, and this other compartment is called the parlor. And the whole idea is to draw the lobster into the kitchen. It goes at the bait bag, and then it looks for a way out. And so it climbs up the funnel into the parlor, and it gets stuck. If it's small enough to get out, it just escape through there. A lot of the time, actually what you catch is only what happens to be in there at that moment. UNH and Cornell, they run a marine lab out of the Isles of Shoals, and they've stuck cameras down in lobster traps, and they see that a lot of time what you pull up is just what happens to be in there. You know, the lobsters are coming and going, they're going in and out freely, they come in and out through those initial openings, and yeah, so sometimes you just get lucky.
About to pick up a trap here.
Hey, we got some bugs. Notched.
Oh, look at those eggs.
And so this female lobster, it's got a notch in its first right tail fin. And so what that tells me is that this female, at some point, another lobsterman pulled it up and it had eggs all laid under here. And so when you pull up a lobster that's bearing eggs, we try to protect the population of fertile egg-bearing females. If this segment is longer than this measurement, then we can keep the lobster. So in this case it's not. In this case it would be. This would be a keepable one. But because it's marked with this V-notch, that tells me that I can't keep it. I have to throw it back. And so, since this one has eggs on it, and it's not yet notched, I'm gonna notch it. So I'm gonna use the spike on the end of here to crunch it. And so what that does, it doesn't really hurt the lobster, and that marks it forever as a fertile egg-bearing female. And we set her free.
Gotta throw it back. This is the bait that you're using?
Yep. So we use a mixture of cured cowhide, or some people use moose hide or pig hide, and we put fish in there as well. You like an oily fish? So these are alewives that we caught with a cast net back in the spring. And so the fish is the better bait. It's going to keep the trap active, but the fish disintegrates quickly. You know, they come in and they pick at it. And so what the hide does is it's a lot more durable, and so the hide keeps the trap active for longer, so the lobsters are still attracted to it once the fish is disintegrated.
Very cool. So now you're sticking the bait back in the trap.
Bait back in the trap, we're closing up the trap, and we want to make sure that
bring this back over. So we're back in the harbor now, and now Eric is banding the lobsters that we decided to catch.
You've got to band the lobster's claws because they're very truculent. They're aggressive and quick to fight, and they're actually pretty cannibalistic, so they'll eat each other if you don't band the claws and prevent them from going at each other.
So these are all the lobsters that Eric is planning on selling today.